I was on my own in the house, and I was awakened about 3 o'clock in the morning by stones being thrown at the window. And it's quite common in the urban areas of Vanuatu for robberies, for people to come and steal. You can never leave any clothes on the line because they will be stolen. And we had been broken into a few times already, but not when we were there. People had come in, stolen things. And I just thought this was another group of 1 or 2 people wanting to break in and steal something. So I shouted out, I think, go away. I think. But they didn't. And it turned out this was a group of 6 people. Now, 2 of them, I found out later, were from the high-risk prison. They'd broken out of the prison. I got up and I saw at the window faces, and they said, give us some alcohol. Well, a Baha'i doesn't drink, so I knew that they didn't know. They didn't know me. They must have been people in prison. So I said, sorry, I don't have any alcohol. And he took a thing that you shoot birds with, a sling, and fired a stone at my face. Luckily, it just got me here, just above the eye. And then he said, okay, we want money. I said, I don't keep any money in the house. Back again, another thing at my face. And then the third one, he says, we want your laptop. I said, my laptop is not here, it's down at the Teachers College. I was being honest, always. And again, they fired at me, and I was now, as you can imagine, when you have things at your face, a bloody mess here. And then I was a bit shaken by all this. And then suddenly the front door, I don't know how they did it, but they smashed it open. And they all came in. And I was thrown on the floor, and they started ransacking the whole house and taking everything. And I could see that the people that had come in were drunk. And I suspected they were also on marijuana. They were not rational people. In the process of throwing me on the floor, I'd actually cracked or broken 2 bones here in the hip, and I could hardly move. I was in agony. And then one of them said, look, we want the key to the car. I said, I don't know where it is, because they'd thrown everything everywhere. And they dragged me to the bedroom, and I remember this vividly. In the bedroom, I had this one particular person who was really aggressive. He put the knife at my throat here. Said, I'll kill you now. And then, I really don't know what happened. But suddenly, they all left. Maybe it was my prayers. And I was left in this shambles of a house, just like a hurricane had been through, everything all over the place, the glass everywhere. And I thought, I'm alive. I'm here. Thank you, God, for protecting me. I'm alive. And I crawled on the floor, out of the door, across the road to my neighbour to ask for help. And this was about 5 o'clock in the morning, just as it was getting light. I was in hospital for a few days. I had many, many visitors, non-stop. The students from the Teachers College, the young people from the Baha'i community, all my friends, everyone came non-stop. And after a few days, I found that what had happened is that I had been very moved emotionally. And that the moment I saw any conflict happening anywhere around me, I would have a meltdown. I was also physically not very well. And I managed eventually to come out of the hospital, come home, and gradually learned how to walk again, because I couldn't walk unaided. I was in a wheelchair, then on crutches, and then eventually I could manage walking, but I didn't recover emotionally at all. And when I went back to Vanuatu, I always thought, well, when I have a bit more courage, I'll go and find this young man and tell him that actually I forgave him the moment it happened, because the people who were the aggressors were under the influence of marijuana and alcohol. And they were not their normal. This was distorting their true personality. And I thought, no, I forgave them straight away. There was no bitterness in any way, right from the start. And I wanted to go back and convey that to this person and help him to recover. But I couldn't. It was too difficult. And it took me 4 years before I could do that. And then when I was in 2016, 4 years later, I was in Port Vila, the capital, and I decided, no, I must make an effort now. I'm strong enough to face him again. And so I went and arranged for me to go back to the high-risk prison the following week. I went on my own. I went with the correctional service people. We drove into the prison, and I went into this container where they let you meet people. And they said, just wait, and he's just getting himself clean and he'll come and visit you. And I was really very nervous. How can I face somebody that actually wanted to kill me? And I was waiting there, just like this. I was sitting there shaking a little bit, and then he came in, escorted by the guards, and as he came in, his head was down and he was crying. And I too was crying. And then I just reached out my hands like this, here, and he reached out his hands and we touched. And it was like electricity flowing between us. It was a point of contact. And we connected. I was able to give him the 4 presents. And each time I gave him the present, he said, I'm just so sorry for what I did. I said, it's okay, I forgive you. This was a wonderful point of contact. In the end, we hugged each other and we said, we're brothers now. We've made the connection. And I always, the guards afterwards, they said, how can you do that? We call ourselves a Christian country, but none of us could do what you have done and come in and forgive the person who was your aggressor. And I said, I have to do that. That's part of my belief, my identity as a Baha'i. That was one important quotation that I always was in my mind all the time. When a thought of war comes, oppose it by a thought of peace. A thought of hatred must be opposed by a more powerful thought of love. And with those feelings, of course I have to forgive and forget. And I think this was a very restorative process in that it certainly helped me to overcome the stress that I've been feeling, and I'm sure it helped him. It was probably the hardest thing I've done, and also the most wonderful thing that I've done. I think if we can all show forgiveness to each other, this creates, we forget any wrongdoing and we build the bridge that creates unity. And our society today, that's the one thing it needs at all levels, at the level of the family, the level of the village, the town, level of the country, and especially between countries and nations. And that's my identity as a Baha'i. I have to promote that. I want to promote that in everything. I think we have a duty to show love and compassion and forgiveness to everyone, regardless of who they are. I think that's my message. Before I left Vanuatu, and I composed a song to be sung by a string band, and this was originally I had a group of youth, Baha'i youth that I was working with, and we learnt to sing that song. And what it does is remind people in the chorus that if you serve others, if you put others before you in your needs, if you have a spiritual connection with God through prayer, then your inner light, your inner fire grows. You radiate the love of God, I guess, what it is. On the other hand, if you gossip about others, if you put your needs before them, me first, then your inner fire is dead. There's a lovely expression in Vanuatu when something goes wrong and people are suddenly finding that they've lost their will. They say, "Fire blow me dead. I've lost my fire blow me dead." So I wrote the opposite. My song is "Fire blow you light," and your fire is light when you put others before you. This was the song we wrote, and these are actually expressing the Baha'i teachings. And then, when I left the Teachers College, I decided that I wanted to leave a memory with all the students. And so I worked together with a group of the Teachers College trainees, and we had this very wonderful string band that we performed on my farewell night. My limited understanding is that we are material beings. We also have a spiritual identity, and this is our connection with God. And these two enable us to progress. If we don't have this one, and we are purely material beings, we become very selfish and self-centered. If we don't have this, we just have spiritual, we become ethereal, we become not connected with reality. We need the balance of the two. Sing sing blong me fella, name blong him, time you give him service. Fire blong you, he light. You know fire blong you dead, fire blong you light.
First time fire from you, fire from you.